Make sure everything's what?
You got a place for each.
Make sure each place is accounted for. That's right. Make sure each place is accounted for. Morning. So, we take these first two, and the first one is 3x minus 7 into 3x to the fourth minus 7x to the third plus 6x minus 16. Now, if you have no earthly idea how to do long division, the first thing you do is make sure each term has a constant or a coefficient and a variable. So 3x to the first minus 7x to the 0, 3x to the fourth minus 7x to the third plus 6x to the first minus 16x to the 0.
You said make sure each term has what?
Say again, what?
You said make sure each term has what?
Has a coefficient and a variable. In other words, some of the things that are missing because we don't put it there because there's no need to, you need to put it in. And these are for the people that never have been able to understand long division. Now, let's look at the outside. Leading variable is x to the first. So that means that the next one down needs to be what? X to the 0. So is anything missing? Yes or no? No, because it goes x to the first and x to the 0. So you're done. Here's the leading variable here. X to the fourth, x to the third, x to the first, x to the 0. Anything missing? X to the second is missing. So you have to input it. You have to put it in there. Now, I don't care how you do it. You can do it with a blank, you can do it with a 0 term, or you can just leave a space there. So I don't care how you do it. So 3x to the first minus 7 into 3x to the fourth minus 7x squared plus x to the third plus 0x squared plus 6x minus 16. Now we are ready to divide. And at this point, there's only one thing that we concentrate on. And that's the 3x. We don't concentrate on the 7 because the 7 will follow. You just concentrate on the 3x. Now, how many times will 3x go into 3x to the fourth? 1x to the first time. 1 times 3 is 3. X to the first times, x to the third. X to the third times x to the first is x to the what? Fourth. Now you do 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. And x to the third times x to the 0 is x to the third. We always subtract. Right here, we always subtract. Now you can subtract, or you can take that subtraction symbol and do what? Distribute it. I don't care how you do it. I don't care which way you do it, but I'm going to distribute. And what will happen to the first term whenever you distribute? What always happens to the first term? That first term, that first column goes out. Negative 7x cubed plus 7x cubed is what? 0x cubed. And the 0 squared comes down to help. Which is not going to help it. So how many times will 3x to the first go into 0x cubed? 0 what? X squared times. 0x squared times 3x to the first is 0x to the what? Third. 0 times 7 is 0. And x to the square times x to the 0 is x squared. We always subtract. That comes down to 0x squared. Because this goes out. Technically this goes out too, but it's times 0, so it doesn't matter. And the 6x comes down to help out. Three x to the first goes into 0x squared, 0x times. 0x times that is 0x squared. 0x times 7 is negative 0x. And 6 minus 0 is 6x. And the 16 comes down to help out. And how many times will 3x go into 6x? 2 times. 2 times 3x is 6x. Let me just put it over here. 6x minus 16. That'll be 6x. And how many times, let's see, 2 times negative 7 is what? Negative 14. You always subtract. So negative 16 plus 14 is what? Negative 2. So how many times will 3x minus 7 go into all of that? It'll go in x to the third plus 2 with a remainder of negative 2, or x to the third plus 2 with negative 2 over, I don't know why this thing is writing like this, so it's not me. I'm not making it write like this. Those are the 2 possible answers for that division problem. Okay. Remember, this is the most important part. So let's try the other one.
What is that 20x to the 4th
Where?
on 82? Number 82. The first.
Oh, I'm sorry. 20x to the 4th, yes. I'm just going to bring it in again. I'm not going to erase all that. So now you can start looking at them and going 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. So is anything missing? No. So 5x minus 1 into 20x to the 4th plus 6x cubed.
There's a dry erase marker and then use the whiteboard.
I don't like to use the dry erase board.
Okay.
I appreciate it, but I don't want to have to erase every 5 seconds. I'm trying to find how to calibrate this thing because it's getting worse and worse. That means it's getting more and more out of calibration, but not finding much help up here because there's not a search bar or anything. So 5 x minus 1, still not writing correctly. 20 x to the 4th plus 6 x squared, a third, minus 2x squared plus 15x minus 2. So since nothing's missing, all we care about is this guy. So how many times will 5x go into 20x to the 4th? 4x to the 3rd. 4 times 5 is 20. X to the 3rd times x is x to the 4th. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. X to the 3rd. You always subtract. That'll make this a minus and this a plus. This goes out. 6 plus 4 is what? Bring down the 2x squared to help out. How many times will 5x go into 10x cubed? 2 times 5 is 10. X squared times x is x to the 3rd. Minus 2x squared. You always subtract. Of course, this goes out. And negative 2x plus 2x is 0x squared. Bring down to 15 to help out. How many times will 5x go into 0x squared? 0x times. 0x times 5x is 0x squared. And 0x times 1 is 0x. You always subtract. You get 15x. Bring down the 2 to help out. How many times will 5x go into 15x? 3 times. 3 times 5x is 15x. And 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. You always subtract. That goes out. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. So your answer is 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 3 with a remainder of 1, or 4x cubed plus 2x squared plus 3 with 1 over 5x minus 1. So the main thing you have to do with long division, you don't have to be smart, you just have to make sure everything's what? Accounted for. You got to make sure everything's there. And for those of you texting and doing whatever you're doing, why do y'all do that? Go ahead and get up and go outside if you're going to text. That's all I ask. Y'all can't even do that. This is the second time I've told y'all it's rude to text while I'm texting. Just wait till you come up and ask me a question. See what I do. See how you like it. It's enough to put anybody in a bad mood. Let's try 86. (86) 3x to the fourth, or 3x squared, minus 5 into 3x to the fourth minus 2x squared minus 5. I'm going to try to Google how to calibrate this thing, because it's not on there. Work on that for a couple of seconds. Remember, you got to have everything accounted for. You got some terms missing here and got some terms missing here, so you're going to have to do something. This thing called Epson Brightlink Pro. Epson Brightlink Pro. Might be under. So 3x squared plus 0x minus 5, 3x to the fourth plus 0x cubed minus 2x squared minus 5. Oops. Plus 0x minus 5. Now this one will really get you messed up, because if you don't account for all of your terms, you're going to get mixed up with this 3 spaces go into these 3 spaces. So, but you don't worry about this. You worry about what? You worry about that 3x squared. 3x squared will go into 3x to the fourth how many times? 1x squared. 1 times 3 is 3. X squared times x squared is x to the fourth. 1 times 0 is 0. X squared times x is x to the third. 1 times -5 is -5. And x squared times x to the 0 is, look at there. See how everything lines up? If yours don't line up like that, then you're doing something what? Wrong. You have a place that you have missed. Everything's supposed to line up. The 2's are supposed to line up, the 3's and the 4's. If yours don't line up, or if you're having to stop and say, uh-oh, something's wrong, then you haven't done what you were told to do, and that is to make sure every place is in its place. So, we always subtract, so that'll make this a negative. Sorry. This a negative, and this a what? Positive. And of course, like always, this one goes out. Get things up here that don't even work. 0x cubed plus 0x cubed is 0x cubed. Negative 2x squared plus 5x squared is what? 3x squared. And the 0x helps out. Now, how many times will 0x squared go into 0x cubed? 0 what? X times. 0x times 3x squared is 0x cubed. 0x times 0x is 0x squared. 0x times -5 is 0x. You always subtract. And that's going to be 3x squared plus 0x. And the -5 comes down to help out. And how many times will 3x squared go into 3x squared? 1 times 3x squared is 3x squared. 1 times 0x is 0x. And 1 times -5 is -5. You always subtract. That goes out. That turns into a positive. And we have a remainder of what? 0. So the answer to this problem is x squared plus 1. Now let me rewrite it to where you can understand it. There. I have to write like I'm in 2nd grade to get this thing to work. All right, you try number 92. Negative 3x squared, negative 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2x divided by 6x squared plus 2x plus 1. I'm not doing all that. Just hold on. So that's going to be 6x squared plus 2x plus 1. They're all there? Is everything there? Into negative 3x cubed plus 2x squared plus 2x. Looks like everything's there too. You could put a plus 0 here if you wanted to because of that 1, but it's not a big deal. All right, how many times will 6x squared go into negative 3x to the third? Well, you know a negative is going to be here, and you know x to the first. Well, what will make a 6 a 3? 1/2. Good. So you multiply by 1/2. Negative 1/2 x squared, or x to the first. Because 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. And negative 1/2 times 6 is negative 3. Negative 1/2 times 2 is what? Negative 1. And x to the first times x to the first is x to the what? And negative 1 times 1, or negative 1/2 times 1 is negative what? 1/2. And x to the first times x to the 0 is x to the first. You always subtract. That makes this a positive, makes this a positive, makes this a positive. And this guy goes out. And 2x squared plus 1x squared is 3x squared. Now that one didn't have any, I guess it's me. 2 plus 1/2, well, 4/2 plus 1/2 is 5/2. And you don't need the 0, but. Now how many times will 6x squared go into 3x squared? And what's 1/2 times 6x squared? 3x squared. And 1/2 times 2 is, and 1/2 times 1 is, you always subtract. This guy goes out. 5/2 plus 2/2, or I'm sorry, 5/2 minus 2/2 is what? 3/2. And 0 minus 1/2 is?
Is it not 5/2 plus?
What does the negative do?
It was positive. Oh, it was positive to start with. Okay, I wrote
Minus.
it down.
So your answer is negative 1/2. I don't know where that came from. Okay, we're not erasing anymore, so evidently that's decided to change too. Whatever. Y'all just write it. If you need help deciphering it, I'm not going to write it again because all it does is mess it up more. And that's how you use long division. Just to do one more, and I don't mean to, I don't mean to drag this out, but I know when students have a problem, and students have a problem with long division. It's one of those things, it's kind of like fractions.